Lizbeth again, Persistence U as in University with Lizbeth podcast, and author, speaker at lameredith.com. Find me there, hop on my email list. The second part of my amazing interview with author David Crow, we talked about the fact that while we can go through horrible things growing up or in our lives, if we continue to have hope and continue to seek answers and a better life and health and mental health, there is always room for change and hope. Our brains can be retrained. They really can. When I used to work with juveniles who'd gone through horrifying traumas in the juvenile probation system, we really worked with them on learning skills to modulate their own moods, feel when they weren't feeling emotionally safe so they didn't have an amazingly awful reaction to some small thing that maybe you or someone else would think that was no big deal. Why are they erupting or fighting or acting so afraid or rageful? And but there are techniques to help with that. And it was so exciting to see those who wanted to change. So when David Crow talks about his youth of losing his mother because his father literally threw her out to die. She was very mentally ill, homeless, and then the author and his siblings had to kind of live on the run with their dad, who'd committed a lot of really serious felonies and was always on the run from enemies he made, deeds that he did, or dreams that he was seeking. And they were never child-centered. I know that is not surprising to you, but they weren't regular family type dreams. But he talks about the things that were buffers, the things that helped. So even in the midst of our hard times, looking for those buffers. He was a kid. He found that there were certain teachers that believed in him, some neighbors. I did the same. Found friends, loved their parents, saw functional families around me. Some of my teachers believed in me, some absolutely did not. They told me later. But there are always buffers and people who've walked in our shoes, who've gone through really rough things, that we can find, emulate, reach out to, even if we're fairly isolated. And so some of the things that I know help me, frankly, going to therapy. If I didn't find the right therapist, then I went to a different one. But going to therapy, some people who've gone through a lot of trauma find EMDR to be very helpful. Rapid eye movement desensitization, something like that. I went to graduate school for psychology, never could get that part. EMDR. I don't even know why it works. It just does. It's kind of like voodoo, but not like voodoo. Things like trauma releasing exercises can work, and even yoga and meditation and journaling. And so those are some of the very few, very often very inexpensive things we can do to unpack baggage that we don't want to schlep around for the rest of our life. If there's one thing I've learned from working with trauma victims and being a trauma survivor myself, it is we do not unpack. We do not just get better from horrible things we've gone through with good intentions. We just don't. The most resilient people I've ever met are never the ones who say, I went through something hard, but I just don't think about it. It stays in your body. It sticks with you. It prevents you from being able to move forward. And it can calcify in the body. So there are so many opportunities for people to not be isolated, to get that support, to talk about what it is that's hurt them without feeling shame or vulnerability. And I love that author David Crow does that in his book that is now optioned for film. Listen to the episode, hit me up. And I do work with midlife women in a limited coaching experience who are carrying relationship baggage, often, not always, whether it's parenting or an old relationship that prevents new ones, or, just has some stuff going on, because it's important to unpack that and get ready for the next adventure of our choosing. Something fun, not just all the old stuff blocking us from being able to move. So again, hit me up at lameredith.com, but love his episode. Thanks for being here. See you soon.